Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new Nvidia daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Nvidia. Let's talk about what is happening to the king of the markets, Nvidia itself, what we can expect moving forward, and all that good stuff. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, etc., well, again, I do share my thoughts with my members every single day as the market is open and trading. Definitely check that out. That link is down below for that YouTube membership. It's in every description of my video at the top. So definitely click that and join up if you would like to see, again, all my updates as the market's open, trading, etc., options flow throughout the entire day. So again, all that is $3 a month USD for the first tier, which includes all my Tesla updates, broader market updates, etc. $5 USD adds Nvidia to that. $7 USD adds non-Tesla, non-Nvidia charts as well that I share with members that seem something worth sharing, like another chart setting up nicely. And on the weekend, I also do chart requests on Discord. But jumping into it, Nvidia closing the day with another bit of a painful day again relative to the market. It's been very much underperforming the market for several days now, right? When the Qs have been green, including today, actually, Qs are green once again, not by a lot, but green is green. Nvidia's down almost another 3%, right? It's definitely been underperforming substantially. And this is what I kept mentioning, how the momentum has fallen. The momentum has absolutely fallen on this stock. It's started making lower lows, lower highs, and this move to the upside back here, I kept mentioning, is just a trap to the green Fibonacci's. I'm sure you guys all remember that. I kept, talking about it as many times as I possibly could, and hopefully someone, benefit off of it. But yeah, you can see right there, beautiful stuff. So anyways, now what's going on with this Nvidia, right? It didn't really, it consolidated for a few days, albeit honestly a little bit less than I expected. I actually expected it to be a little bit stronger than this because the market's holding up okay. So Nvidia is really weak. Like, it's weaker than even I expected because technically speaking, it should have been flat today in my opinion because the market's flat. But it's just continuing to be weaker and weaker and weaker, especially AMD, even weaker. So like I said many times, right? I was short-term bullish for some consolidation, maybe a small bounce closer to 174. We couldn't even muster up that, but nonetheless, we still got about 3 days of just pretty much a whole lot of nothing going sideways around that 50 EMA, around that 169, 170 supports. But then, like I mentioned, if we start going below 169 and start closing daily candles below 69, that does start telling me the fact that, there's a good chance the next leg lower is pretty much ready to begin. And that's kind of the sign that we're seeing today. I mean, we closed at 167. That sounds like it's one or below 169 to me. So, with the MACD, again, when it flipped red up here, right, and, it's already started showing early signs. The MACD was, like I said, many times over. This is sometimes you want to be careful when the MACD is this elevated because you have to understand, if the stock continues going up, that would either A, make the MACD go to pretty much literally unprecedented levels, which technically speaking, the odds are just not in your favor. Or it'll start making bearish divergences, or at least a very high chance of that. And that's kind of got a bit of both, honestly, right? So again, this is why sometimes I do like using the MACD as well, because unlike most other indicators, it doesn't really show, other indicators don't show these kind of situations or these signs of just something being this overextended, like the RSI can. But I think the MACD is a bit better at that, personally speaking. So, again, that's quite another reason why I was a little bit cautious, where, yeah, maybe we get that one final pop to like 190, maybe 200. But like, again, when the MACD is this elevated, you have to take into consideration how much higher can this thing really go before it needs to cool off, right? Again, you were already at the second highest level ever in the stock's history. So, it's important to take these kind of factors into consideration. But the good news is the fact that it's very much cooling off now, to say the least. Now, going off of the levels themselves, though, for Nvidia and how the stock is kind of behaving here, what to expect next. Again, I mentioned how this is going to be more or less a bear flag. Now, I did say how I, wouldn't be surprised if we see one more pop higher, which, interestingly enough, AVGO actually did pretty well today, up 9% on the day, gave up some of the gains, but even then, up about 10%. That's pretty good. So even AVGO positive earnings reaction wasn't able to bring Nvidia up to 174, 173, something like that. So concerning signs for sure, but this was a bear flag in the making, no questions about it. Like I mentioned, we either get this one more pop and then head down, or we just head down early. Unfortunately, early was the choice here. So again, the way I look at it is pretty simple. To me, because we lost a 50 EMA, because the 921 are bearishly crossed, the bulls, if they want to turn this into a bear trap, which there is a possibility of, they really need to step in. And I mean like soon. Like, I want to see the next day or two step in soon. Like, I want them to come in Monday, Tuesday, and I want them to start bidding up the stock as soon as possible. And what I want to see is I want to see about 169 to 170, that same level I've been talking about for the past few days. I want to see reclaimed. I need to see that level reclaimed, and then we can start talking about this being a bear trap. Until that happens, at least, this is not a bear trap. And this is most likely just another bearish continuation and just continued weakness in the stock, right? That has been already showing us many signs already in the past, whether it was up here, whether it was this, a drop post earnings. There were so many signs that were pointing to it that it's just, it shouldn't be surprised. I feel like I was talking about this as much as I possibly could have. So anyways, to the downside, the weekly. I mean, I'll go over to the weekly. Again, this can still take time. I'm not necessarily saying it's going to go, happen next week necessarily or anything like that, unless something very catastrophic happens, obviously, which you never know. My main target to the downside overall, for me to really start telling you the fact that I believe that this correction off of this absolutely phenomenal rally, by the way, is arguably finished. About 150 retest. A retest of previous all-time highs, 150, 382 Fibonacci. That's still my main target. It's been my main target for the past 3 weeks. And that continues to be my main target. There's literally zero reason for that to change. And until that something actually happens and until something different happens to the stock, that's my target. So again, let's continue waiting for that and just, seeing how the stock develops overall on the larger time frames, the daily, the weekly, etc. But that's my target to the downside still, unfortunately. It is what it is. And then again, don't forget we had the MACD. This I mentioned before. The pattern is the same every time Nvidia had these parabolic rallies. Every time the SMI was up here and the MACD started making lower highs, guess what happened? We topped out. Happened 2 times in the past on these parabolic rallies, and this is the 3rd now. So it's like, again, how much more proof do you need? I don't know. It is what it is, guys. It is what it is. Hopefully some people benefit off of this. But yeah, so again, I'd be very much watching for 169 to 170 as a short-term resistance. If we can get back above it, we can start talking about this being a bear trap. If we cannot and we continue turning it into resistance like we kind of did this morning, you can see, then we continue down. And unfortunately, the move down is just the way to go for now until something tells us otherwise, essentially. So yeah, it's bearish. Unfortunately, it's going to continue being bearish until something tells us that it's no longer bearish. And so far, other than this potential hammer candle, it's a red hammer candle. I don't like red hammer candles. It's not the best hammer candle, also because the wick at the top is kind of long. It's not enough for me to be convinced, personally speaking. I see no reason to take the risk. So all in all, that's kind of how I see it. Very quickly go over the market, the broader market. QQQ did break above 575, which is good. It is holding on to 575. It had a risk of getting a pretty bearish close today, but it didn't. It actually held on, which is a good sign. But the market, there is an overall larger risk to the market where, especially on SPY, which I'll go over, but Qs for sure as well. I want to see the bulls continue holding the mid 570s on the Qs for early next week as well, right? That's number one for sure, 100%. But the second thing I really want to be kind of mindful of is the fact that there is a bearish divergence happening across the market, whereas the Qs, for instance, are pretty much going up and to the right, and especially SPY, which I'll go over next. The MACD going lower and lower and lower. It's pointing straight down pretty much, right? So there's that kind of bearish divergence happening across the market. SPY even more so. SPY is actually making new highs, while the MACD is not, and it's just going the opposite direction. Again, bearish divergence. When I see these kind of signs, it doesn't mean it has to play out. It doesn't mean it has to we're going to crash substantially. Oh my God. Not necessarily, of course, right? But, it does make me think that at the very least, maybe we won't go anything meaningfully higher just yet. We could get some longer sideways consolidation, if not a dip back to previous all-time highs. So to me, the worst case, but still bullish, honestly, scenario is for the markets is to retest previous all-time highs. So in other words, for SPY to come back down to retest about, the very low 600s, and the Qs will be about, 540 to 530s. That'll be like my worst case scenario, if you will, while still being bullish, because that'll just be, again, that'll just be like a pretty bullish retest, breakout, retest, continue. Simple stuff, right? That's pretty much all it's going to be. I'm not trying to, say the market's bearish, this is going to crash. Oh my God, sell everything now. And it's, we're going into the biggest recession ever, and we're about to go down to like $200 per share on QQQ. No, of course not. I'm not trying to fear monger something crazy like that. But, it would not be surprising if we get a nice weekly retest of previous all-time highs across the board on the markets. And then just continue higher. Pretty simple stuff. Because again, usually anywhere between August to October, the market is definitely more bearish. And then the last 2 months as we head into the new year, the market's usually bullish. So let's see if we get that, seasonality pullback into that bullish Santa Claus rally, as people call it. But that's pretty much it. That's all I got for you guys. Let me know what you think down below. Very quickly looking at Nvidia options to see what's happening over here. Definitely more bullish and bearish flow, but honestly, it's pretty mixed. I don't really see anything on Nvidia that's really making me think, one way or the other. It's just mixed. A lot of people are just buying this and buying that. I don't see anything that's making me really question one thing or the other. I do see some calls coming in for next week. 9/12, you can see these kind of 200K, 500K calls coming in, very in the money or, just slightly out of the money or pretty much at the money almost. But nothing very unusual that just really catches my eye. So, you know, yeah, bulls are coming in. They're trying to buy this dip, but I'm not fully convinced personally. Other than maybe selling cash ticket puts. Cash ticket puts, I actually don't think Nvidia, I actually have AMD cash ticket puts. I actually entered AMD cash ticket puts here because I think AMD is a bit closer to support that I'm more comfortable with. But I actually don't think cash ticket puts are an atrocious idea here, to be completely honest with you. I'm just not willing to outright buy shares here because to me, the risk is still to the downside, personally speaking. So anyways, thanks for watching and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.